Hi, welcome to another Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy LegacyCast. I'm Jim Stark, the Executive Director, and we do these periodically to make sure we're taking today's current sports events and giving it a historical perspective to make it all kind of sound like it makes some sense in our worlds of sports legacy and sports history. I'm joined again. Speaking of history, I have a piece of history sitting next to me because he's so old, and that's my longtime radio partner, Al Fellhauer. Well, Al Fellhauer, you made the cut. You're back for another one. Aren't you lucky?
Oh, I couldn't be more luckier than to sit next to you, Jim Stark.
And I'm gonna double your salary this time.
Oh, well, that's good.
Well, listen, you and I did a lot of fun things when we were on the radio together, and one of the things we really enjoyed, of course, was our covering Eastern Michigan basketball in the Earl Borkins days when there was a lot of fun. We saw a lot of good teams come in and play Eastern, or they went on the road. But let's talk about college basketball today. I think you knew I had my daughter graduated from Michigan State this past weekend. And what's out in front of Michigan State's Breslin Center? The big Magic Johnson statue, right? So it reminded me of the great college basketball we've had, maybe going back to the Magic Johnson 79 era.
Well, Magic Johnson was the forerunner to what is happening today in college. He was the one and out guy.
Yeah, he was.
One and done.
He was one of the first one and out guys, yep.
And as you see, each year, it appears that more of these coaches are turning to that one-and-done philosophy.
Well,
Mike Krzyzewski, I didn't think would ever do it, but Duke is really working the one-and-dones.
I think it's because that's the nature of the game now. If you're going to want to compete for a national championship, you have to do it. Because I know Tom Izzo would prefer not to have to do that.
And he hasn't really stooped to that yet.
Well, he did it.
He keeps them 2 or 3 years.
Well, the Miles kid was the last 3 or 4 years he's had a couple one and dones. But look at John Beilein. He's even been kind of lost some of those guys early. Where Michigan never used to leave guys early.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this one thing in the state of college basketball today: you're not going to find a better coach than the one right down the street here at the University of Michigan.
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that.
This John Beilein gets more out of every player than each player thinks they even have.
Well, you know me, I've always been a Tom Izzo, huge fan of Tom Izzo. And I'll tell you right now, I think John Beilein every year climbs one step closer, if not right in the tail of the coaching ability of Tom Izzo. Because the thing I liked about Tom Izzo is his players got better and his team got better as the year went on. You didn't see him peaking in December. And I think you say the same thing about Beilein.
Beilein will never catch Tom Izzo until he wins a national championship.
Right. I agree with you.
And
Tom Izzo will never catch Mike Krzyzewski until he wins another national championship.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a shame that we value that national championship so much, but I guess
it ain't just us.
That's the markers today that you got to have.
It's what. Hey, let's face it. That whole tournament has become one of the most publicized. People follow it. They have the gambling. It's become one of the most followed events.
And everybody said that tournament would really be hurt by all these conferences having conference championship tournaments. Hasn't touched it. Just made it all the more exciting.
They said it'd be hurt if they expanded beyond 64. Now they're 68. Hasn't hurt a thing. And like the Super Bowl may be the biggest one-day event, but that college basketball
3 week
month or whatever it is the biggest event, bar none.
Bar none. You're right.
They draw people over 3 weekends, that final game. So, to me, that's what college basketball has become.
Many state legislators around the country have even noticed that tournament is so important and big that they kind of waive the gambling law on that you can do an office pool and you can do all these things.
Well, and again, it all goes back to, I think when you look at Magic Johnson in '69, the Magic Johnson-Larry Bird competitiveness, that's really the dawn of the TV era. Before that, you didn't. We remember David Thompson back in this, but really the TV era of college basketball began with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
Today it's amazing. Today, not only basketball but college football, I can find any game I want to watch at any time.
Well, the on-demand thing has become a whole nother thing.
Well,
now, right?
I can go online. I saw every Eastern Michigan football game this year online.
You're the only person that no one else watched every game.
Online.
Yeah, no, it's the basketball world has benefited from the on-demand and all the other channels there are now because they're all looking for other products.
And the women's games are on everyone's televised now on ESPN3 or Plus, whatever they're calling it this week.
College basketball appears to be still growing. Where college football, I don't know if you can say it's still growing, and maybe it's kind of peaked out a little bit. Maybe you could argue that if they expanded the playoff, it might grow. But college basketball, like you said, grows every year.
Well, somebody made a statement. I think it was Kirk Herbstreit made the statement that if Alabama lost to Georgia in the championship game for the SEC and didn't make the tournament, they would have the tournament expanded to 8 teams before they got back to Alabama.
Well, and let's face it, we're spoiled, I think, in the state of Michigan because not only do we have Tom Izzo and John Beilein, but we also have at Oakland University.
Greg Campy.
Greg Campy, who's had a
One of my
wonderful run of
favorites.
Success. I know, and I'm a Toledo guy, I get it.
Yeah, of course, he had to come from Ohio. Nothing in Michigan could survive if they didn't come from Ohio.
Western, Central, and Eastern have all had their runs at the Sweet 16 at one time or another.
Yep.
So it's been a great time for basketball in the last 40 years.
Well, and it's picked up tremendously. They have really done a thing with this one and done has done something to college basketball that has brought equality to all the teams. Now teams in the Big Sky can win a national championship.
Is that a good thing, though, Al? You like that?
I like competitiveness.
You like that some of these teams can be the Cinderella team, come out of nowhere and win a couple games.
Who likes anything better than a Cinderella team?
That's true.
I mean, that's one of the best things going.
No, that's true. So, which of the two teams do you like more this year, Michigan State or Michigan?
Do I like better this year?
Which do you feel has a potential to go further?
Well, I tell you what, I didn't think much of Michigan to begin with, but they sure have proven that they're setting the standard. But I think Michigan State's doing their typical Tom Izzo season, played a very tough preseason schedule, which will make them all the stronger for when they get into the Big Ten. But I think those two schools are going to be right near the top. I've been a little bit disappointed in Purdue. I thought they would give a run at it. And I've been very surprised by Ohio State, they had said is in a rebuilding year, just rebuilding totally. They lost 80% of their scoring from last year, and they're 9-10-1 now. So, but Michigan, until they get beat, is the standard to beat.
Yep. And you mentioned earlier that Big Ten basketball championship game now has become another event within an event, and that was supposed to, as you said earlier, take away from some of the other the conference play or whatever. But it's every year it gets bigger.
Well, I've been to every Big Ten tournament since it started.
Yeah, well, I was waiting for you to brag about something, and it took me this long.
And I'll tell you what, every year I keep saying I'm not going to go this year. I don't want to go, and my son says you're going to go.
You haven't been disappointed yet by the game, have you?
Pardon?
You have not been disappointed by the game yet in all the games you saw, right?
Nope.
They've all been great games.
Yep. Everyone's been great games, and even when we never get there for the first day when the lower brackets are playing in the conference, but even those games are exciting.
Yep.
Many overtime games.
And
Michigan just got, don't forget that Michigan last year, even though they went to the Final Four, they barely escaped the Big Ten tournament when they had to go double overtime against Iowa.
So if you go back to '79 and have to pick a program that's the best program, most successful, Michigan or Michigan State since '79, which one do you pick?
Oh, Michigan State.
See, I would argue that I might say Michigan only because they've been to the Final Four and they've overachieved. So I would argue that point. But
well, since Beilein's got there, they've gained a lot more respect nationally.
Right. Yeah, but the Fab Five was certainly it took a big tarnishment from the incident. But let's face it.
And Steve Fisher wasn't the most upstanding individual either.
No, that's true.
And
but you know what? Hey, it's made for great college basketball watching here in the state of Michigan.
Beilein's got some magic. I'll tell you, he gets 110% out of every one of these players.
Well, thank you very much for joining us for another Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy LegacyCast. Again, I want to thank Al Fellhauer for joining me. He's done a passable job, so maybe we'll ask him back again to join us if we can think of something intelligent to say. Let me know if you think of something, will you?
Am I just supposed to say something unintelligent so I don't have to come back again?
I'm Jim Stark, the Executive Director. See you next time on the Michigan Sports Legacy Conservancy LegacyCast.